So in this lecture, we're going to look at education words, 7 education words, and they are curriculum, syllabus, scholar, literate, vocational, apprentice, and pedagogy. So your first word is curriculum. Curriculum. A curriculum is everything that is studied in a school or a college or a university, and also in a school system, such as a school system within a country or a state. Governments in many countries write out the curriculum that schools must follow, and they call this the national curriculum or the state curriculum. Here's the word curriculum again. The start of the word cur is actually a Latin word or part of a Latin word which means course. And here are some example sentences. There should be a broader curriculum in place for students aged 16 to 18, so that means a wider curriculum. Russian is the one compulsory foreign language on the school curriculum. The curriculum was meagre, the teaching poor, and discipline cruel. Sounds like a lovely school. And some collocations with curriculum. Curriculum reform, so when you want to change the curriculum. School curriculum, national curriculum. And here's that phrase, to broaden, to widen the curriculum. Curriculums is one of the forms of the plural, but technically, because it's a Latin word, curriculum, the plural is curricula. So you will see both curricula and curriculums being used for the plural. And some synonyms for curriculum: educational program, syllabus, and that's it. And in fact, our next word is syllabus. There is a slight difference between curriculum and syllabus. A syllabus is really the things taught in a particular subject or a particular course. So it's often used to talk about the content you learn for an exam. Although the terms curriculum and syllabus are often used interchangeably, curriculum and syllabus are really slightly different. A curriculum is bigger, broader than a syllabus. So a curriculum might contain lots of syllabuses or syllabi. Here are some uses of the word syllabus. The GCSE history syllabus is very extensive. The GCSE is a course in British schools for 14 to 16-year-olds. The teacher will follow the syllabus outlined in the course book. The course syllabus outlines everything you need to know for the IELTS exam. Some typical collocations: you teach a syllabus, follow a syllabus, and you have subject syllabuses or syllabi, like the maths syllabus or the science syllabus. So you see here, the last two examples, we talk about a syllabus for a subject, like maths or science or history. But in the previous section, the previous word curriculum, we had school curriculum and national curriculum. There's the difference. You can use, a bit like curriculum, syllabus is one of the plurals, but technically, because it's another Latin word, the plural is syllabi. So you will see syllabi and syllabuses used. They're both correct. Some synonyms for syllabus. Like I said before, curriculum, not exactly the same, but they're often used as if they were the same. Program of study and course outline are closer synonyms for syllabus. Next word, scholar. Now, a scholar is someone who studies an academic subject. It used to be used in Britain to refer to school-aged students, but today we, certainly in Britain, we normally now use the word pupil or student, but they can be used to mean the same thing, especially in nasty reading questions. Now, these people are scholars. They've been studying at university. And you can see the word school, or you can almost see the word school in the word scholar. Here are some example sentences. The library attracts thousands of scholars and researchers. He is an influential Islamic scholar. Classical Athens was famous for its great scholars Plato and Socrates. And some typical collocations, an influential scholar, a leading scholar. And a verb here, scholars study. They study things, and we talk about also scholarly work. Scholarly is an adjective from the word scholar. Scholarly work, scholarly research. And scholars is the plural of the noun, and scholarly is the adjective. Some synonyms, student and pupil, are the ones most commonly used today. Researcher. Sometimes words like expert or academic or even specialist. Your next word is literate. Literate. Someone who is literate can read and write, but it's often used more generally to refer to a well-educated person, a literate person. But here's a girl, she can read, she can write, she's literate. And at the start of the word, liter, this actually suggests someone who is well-educated, someone who is learned. And it's often used with books, as we'll see later, but you can see words like literature. Some example sentences. Well, 25% of the adult population are not fully literate. A literate population is vital for economic growth. He did not become literate until he was an adult. So he couldn't read and write until he was an adult. Typical collocations, a literate population, highly literate. But the opposite of that is barely literate. Barely. So if you don't have much literacy, you are barely literate. Financially literate. This one suggests expertise in a particular area. So if you're well educated, if you're an expert in finance and financial matters, you're financially literate. You could also be scientifically literate. And from the word literate comes the word literacy. So literate is an adjective, literacy is a noun. We talk also about a literacy rate in countries. You can have the word literature, which of course is another noun referring to books. And the opposite of literate is illiterate. Illiterate. Some synonyms for literate. The first one is actually pronounced, you might think it's pronounced learned, but that's how we pronounce the verb. When it's used as an adjective, we say learned, learned. We actually pronounce the ed ending completely, which is quite unusual in English. Learned. A learned person is very literate. Educated. Cultured. Knowledgeable. Well-informed. And a more unusual synonym is this one, lettered. A lettered person. That kind of means a very well-educated person who has lots of qualifications. They have lots of letters after their name. but it often is, occasionally used to denote an educated person. Your next word is vocational. Vocational. Vocational skills are skills needed to do a particular job, a specialised job. Vocational training is training to do a particular job, such as engineering or building. It's often used to talk about skills and training to do jobs with your hands, but it's also used more widely to talk about jobs that have particular skills. So it can apply to doctors, for example, but not always. The context in which the word vocational is used can change. Here are some example sentences. This course is designed to provide vocational training in engineering. Vocational courses are more likely to receive funding than arts courses. At the age of 18, I started attending vocational college. So we talk about vocational training, vocational skills, vocational qualifications, and a vocational course. And some synonyms for vocational: specialised, hands-on, possibly, hands-on qualifications, vocational qualifications, for people that do work with their hands. And the word professional, sometimes professional, like I said before with doctors, can mean the same thing as vocational, but sometimes they're actually used to mean completely different types of qualification. So there you might have a professional qualification for a doctor, but a vocational qualification for a builder. Your next word is apprentice. Apprentice. An apprentice is someone who is learning a particular job or profession with the help of a more experienced worker, an expert at that particular job. So an apprentice often learns how to do a job by doing the job alongside, next to, the experienced worker, the expert. You may have heard of a TV programme in Britain, also the United States and other countries, called The Apprentice. And in The Apprentice TV programme, lots of young people try to become successful entrepreneurs. And in the centre of that group are the three experts. They're the three successful entrepreneurs, and all the apprentices want to learn some skills for becoming an entrepreneur from those three experts. Some example sentences. She's an apprentice to an experienced engineer. The government is planning to fund more apprenticeships. He started work as an apprentice for Rolls-Royce. And some collocations: apprentice to, young apprentice, become an apprentice, work as an apprentice. And there's the plural of apprentices, but you can also use the word apprentice as a verb and also as an adjective. So we talk about being apprenticed to. I was apprenticed to. And some synonyms for apprentice: pupil is a more old-fashioned word, or novice. We talk about a novice and an expert sometimes. And your final word is pedagogy. Pedagogy. Some people pronounce it pedagogy. Both are correct according to my dictionary: pedagogy, pedagogy. But the G's are pronounced differently. The first G is hard, G. The second G is soft, J. Pedagogy. The prefix ped means child. This actually comes from a Greek word, pedagogy. A pedagogue in ancient Greece was someone who taught boys the skills of reading and writing and thinking. Our pedagogy emphasizes student-centered learning. Our pedagogical approach emphasizes student-centered learning. So there you have the word pedagogy used slightly differently. Basically means a teaching approach, how you approach your teaching in a school or a university. So you can talk about a school pedagogy, educational pedagogy, pedagogical approach, pedagogical methods. It's all about your teaching approach, your teaching methods. And the plural of pedagogy is pedagogies. And the adjective as well, you've seen in those example sentences, pedagogical. Some synonyms for pedagogy: teaching methods, teaching approach, educational techniques. So there are your 7 education words: curriculum, syllabus, scholar, literate, vocational, apprentice, and pedagogy.